Hey everyone, welcome to Property Finance with Lee and our first ever podcast. Today we're joined by EUGENIO Sanchez. He's a buyer's agent over at Butler's Buyers Agency based in Perth. EUGENIO, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lee. I appreciate a lot to give me the opportunity to be in this particular thing. So I appreciate a lot to get be part of this amazing journey you have.
EUGENIO, no, thank you for joining us. We're going to probably have some teething issues with the first episode, but no, I really appreciate you joining us today. And, you've got quite a lot of experience in your field and I know our audience will get a lot out of you. So thanks again for joining us. EUGENIO, maybe we'll start off and maybe let's speak about where you grew up and just so our audience has an idea of what you're about.
All right, no problem. Yeah, pretty much. I grew up in Spain. That's strong accent. I can feel it. Yeah, so pretty much it just I'm very coming from the city of Valencia. So it's quite in the Mediterranean area. Very nice family, hard workers. So pretty much coming from Europe. Yeah, so really have this culture, of good food and good people around with families. So this is where I come from. Yeah.
Yep. And EUGENIO, so you grew up in Valencia, what did you study? So was your whole childhood in Spain? Did you end up going away for schooling, anything like that?
Well, really, I was studying at normal school, the secondary and the high school and everything. And then I was champion in the army. So I was in the army for a while and then, it quite, intense. I was a little bit, I can say, but then after just I finished and I started to get it in big companies and get my studies in the same time. So working and yeah, pretty much I get traveling a lot with my previous role. So I was,
Okay.
yeah.
And what did that consist of? What kind of a job was it?
Well, what's like mechanical? So pretty much I start from mechanical working and then growing to supervisor and then study for many years and then grow to mechanical engineer. So working with gas turbines. So I was a big,
Oh, right. Okay.
yeah. So big companies around. So really traveling too much. And was amazing because they have a lot of experience, too much to learning, as everyone else who want to be a big corporations and working hard, those things.
So you were a mechanical engineer working for gas companies.
Yeah, oil and gas, power generation, refineries,
Wow.
steam turbines, pretty much specific on turbines. So gas turbines, pretty much, and it's around the globe. So I work in 5 continents, live in different countries. So it was very intense. So very very good timing. Yeah.
I can imagine. So what countries mostly were you working in?
Well, pretty much I was living in America. I was also working in Latin America. I was also in Europe when I coming back in the delegation in Europe. So pretty much, eh, if you look at it that way, from all the West European countries, so pretty much all now to Norway, places, Germany, all the way to France a lot because we are close and North Africa countries like Tunisia, Algeria, and then we go to another countries, Middle East, Dubai, Qatar, Doha, just Ras Laffan and all these things. And then they bring me here in Australia. So have to do some jobs here and then coming with a 457 visa. And yeah, pretty much we decided to stay here. Amazing country.
So you're pretty well traveled. You've pretty much seen,
Yeah.
and like you said, every continent of the globe. And
Well, what's the good thing? The thing is, when you go on holidays and you go to work and living, it's quite different. So, meaning you see the
yes,
really country and you see the values of the country and because every country have its own good, there's some good difficulties, but pretty much all country have the beautiful things.
yes. So how long did you find yourself spending in each country? Was it like a 6-month contract, a year?
Well, normally when I have a big project in the beginning of doing installation, so I was a little bit more longer.
Yeah.
So and then I lived there. And Venezuela, I lived for a year and a half. Latin America, then United States also
Wow.
lived for a year. And then after a little more projects because it was in shutdown outage, so 3 months, 4 months, something like this. So pretty much was a little bit
Yes.
quite longer. Uh 3 months and then offer me usually with short timing. So it's a month or 3 weeks and pretty much traveling a lot. So one time you go and just thinking about it, you go to Gran Canarias and then you go back to Norway to take snow off and
Yep.
everything. So pretty much it's different, you know. It was a very nice experience. Yeah.
And then eventually your job brings you to Australia.
Yeah, exactly right, man. And I really enjoy, man. I'm Aussie now, so pretty much get my mentation and everything on papers and everything. So very good. My family love it. Have 2 kids. My
Yeah.
wife love it. So pretty much we love it
It's a
here.
great country.
It is. It's a blessing country.
And you know this because obviously you've worked in other places around the world, and you know it's different when you go as a tourist. When you go somewhere as a tourist, everywhere is beautiful. You know,
Yeah.
when you have to live there and deal with the systems. And I know from our previous conversations when we've talked about Greece and Spain,
Yeah.
you know, they're great, beautiful tourist countries, but when you have to live there and utilize the system there and that sort of thing, you really start appreciating, you know, a country like Australia.
It is.
It's a not only is it a beautiful country, but we've got proper systems here. Everything works nice, so it's great for family, of course.
It is, man. And I tell you, some people don't realize how lucky we are. So with it, meaning you born here, you already have, you're already blessing. You know, this is a blessing
Yes,
country. So pretty much you need to take everything you can, you know, to make sure you can utilize your country because the government help you out a lot of things, school, even, you know, I wouldn't say the different countries have a lot of things, but I found comparing with another countries is quite different. So Australia is still a spot on country to live, yeah, and make the
it's.
family things. Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. I think most people in this country don't know what they've got. I've got a client, EUGENIO, that's a very wealthy client. He makes it a point every year to take his family to Asia. And I used to say to him, you know, Mark, what are you taking your family to Asia? You know, why go to Europe? Go to Greece was
Mm.
pretty cheap at the time, just after the GFC. You know, go to Europe. Go somewhere. What are you every year you're going to Asia? You know, it's the flight difference isn't that much because it's not the money, Lee. He goes,
Mm.
I want my kids to appreciate what they've got here. I want to take them to countries that aren't like Australia. You know,
Mm.
that so they understand the opportunities they're given. So no, we're very fortunate. Definitely very fortunate.
Yeah.
So if you end up in Australia, you've been here now how long?
Around 11 years they will do this year.
11
So
years.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And how did you go from a mechanical engineer, which is obviously a very well paid job, you know, it's a very math heavy job. How did you go from you know, a mechanical engineering into the real estate industry?
Well, really, you know what? I just love the real estate. I was for many years investor too. So I am an investor. I like to, I don't know, I remember one old guy, you know, first time when I started this business on these mega companies and everything, good money. They told me, the old man, you know, say, Eugenia, the important is not how many money you can make, it's how many you can keep and invest. So, because he was very
Yes.
broke, you know, very broke, and he made a fortune in the 70s, 60s, you know, and all these things. So, and I took that advice from the early age. So I really start to try to put my money working. So, and invest in property. And because of that, I love it, what I do it, and I really thinking it was a good feeling. I started to pretty much thinking, why I not do it for living? Why I not do something I really love it? And I think every time you change the rules, you learn a lot of things. It's just completely learning, you know. Change the rule is not so bad if you willing to love it what you do, you know.
Eugenia, tell our audience, what exactly does a buyer's agent do?
But pretty much the main thing is look at the interest for the client. So advisors is looking for the house. We coming in, we work with them, we analyze the strategy, we find them exactly what they're looking for, and we help the negotiation for them until the end ongoing and conditional. So meaning until the going and conditional, we have the support they need. And quite intensive is commercial because the quite due diligence even residential is required by the stock is very difficult find properties at the moment, and that's our job. We got all the market opportunities, a big beneficial to use it, a quite long networking. So we have a lot of people like yourself and a lot of professionals. They can give you the help. So they feel like I've never been alone, and they can value double and triple or quadruple the money they pay to us.
Okay. So someone has an idea of what they want to purchase. They come to you, they tell you what they want to purchase, how much they have to spend, that sort of thing. And then you are basically from start to finish service. You find the property, go through the due diligence with them, through to the purchase of the property. It's basically a full stop shop.
Exactly.
You're essentially a real estate agent that works on behalf of the buyer.
Perfect. Yeah, they're awesome clarification. And I appreciate that you do that because it's exactly what it is. It's a full service package. So there's someone work in different packets and it's only find the property and they do the due diligence. But pretty much it's a full package service. So we work on behalf of our clients. So we are the eyes, the brains, everything for them. They're pretty much checking everything.
And do you normally work on a fee, a percentage of sale? How does it normally work?
Well, we're working on commercial, normally we work in a percent or so. And if it's residential, we go a flat rate. So the flat rate is just according what the asking price and everything, but normally it's a flat rate because there's different amount of investment. But obviously commercial is the percentage, meaning, oh wow, this guy buy for me, a percentage is high, so you want the house now. This is not how it works. So I really, otherwise I don't go so far. We work very hard to get the right price for them. And not about, this is what I say, the interest of my client. I want to say again, the interest of my client. So we're looking to my client the best price they can get, obviously. And that's what our job it is, negotiation, do it diligent, and spot on behalf of my client to represent my client professionally and be in place to make sure we get it exactly what they need.
Is the training to become a buyer's agent the same training to become a real estate agent? Is it the
Pretty
exact
much.
same course?
Yeah.
What's the story with that?
Yeah, pretty much same thing. Is you need to have your real estate license. Otherwise, you cannot
Yep.
perform as a buyer agent. You represent a client, and you need to have by standards. You need to get certificate, diplomas. You need to apply for your license. So pretty much,
Yes.
it's quite intense. It's not just go there and champion and everything, And also, pretty much, you need to have a long period, like a 2 years, just because until you completely running in WA is quite different. So every state have its own regulations and obviously,
Okay.
so it's a quite intense the training. But I found them very interesting because it's a good learning. It's a good, even I am an investor here and I do my portfolio in Australia, overseas and everything. I found out there's a quite nice training to do it anyway because it's push you in the right direction. And yeah,
Yes.
it was a good thing to do it. I found out for someone else, a friend of mine, just were working on it. I said, "Why Eugenia doing well? Why you not try to help and do it?" I said, "Well, why not? And that's what I started for.
Once you completed your course, you could have chosen to even be a normal real estate agent if you
Yeah.
wanted. You could have. Why buyer's agent specifically? What was the reason for that choice?
Well, be honest, I think it's just something a lot of more helpful, a lot of more grateful, a lot of more a feeling that you can change the life of someone else. It's a lot of like it's so impressed how you can help people. And it's more helping.
Yes.
Yeah, real estate also help people to sell it and everything. But you sell the product, yeah, you sell something that physical. But when I was started as investor, I remember my first one was awesome. Second one was average, yeah. And I remember to be okay, it's an average thing, but I move forward, and I get it better and better. But if you have someone in that timing, same with me now with a little experience and they can move on, I would just definitely contract one person like this because I will not because and this and in real estate you need to be very careful because if you do the wrong thing, you can stuck there for a long time, and you don't want to do that.
Yes.
Especially you need to be very very spot on. So I found out it's very more grateful to be a budget agent, and I think it's more I don't know more fun, just where people just get the thing what they need, and definitely it's more intense. I think I like it. I like the challenge anyway.
Yeah, to be honest, it's the same reason why I got into mortgage broking. I found that there was, because really, whether you're a buyer's agent, a mortgage broker, or even a real estate agent, you're essentially either financing, buying, or selling the same
Mm,
property.
mm,
So a lot of the time, I scratch my head and I think, why go into mortgage broking that pays far less than say real estate that involves the same property, or same thing for buyer's agents, really. But I think it's really what you're passionate about. You're passionate about finding people there,
yeah,
a property they're after. It's extremely hard right now. So obviously very valuable service buyer's agency. And I get the same kick out of getting people finance, getting them
yeah,
the ability to make a purchase through someone like yourself and whatever. So it's definitely, I understand it. If you look at it from what the actual thing we're selling or financing or whatever
mm.
it is, it's really the same item, but it's a different type of reward.
Yeah, it
It's not
is.
just about the yeah. I completely understand.
Mhm.
Evgenio, you're with your service, you mostly focus on investor type clients, commercial type purchases. What
Yeah.
drew you to that sort of?
If you honestly, it's a lot less emotion thing, and it's quite more intense and analysis thing and risk assessments and quite more intense, a lot more. So meaning, yeah, if we go to residential, you need to look it up all everything. You need to do similar thing, but if you go to commercial, it's another completely fish. So meaning it's a completely different the structure is a lot more to look it into. It can be a lot of parties, can be a multi-family thing, can be a lot of things. So pretty much it's more intense, but I love it more in that particular. I am an investor myself. I don't get on that stage of building to commercial yet, but I will. And it definitely is something we I found on myself very nice to work in it because like I say, I like the challenging thing. And it's a quite number thing, quite just too many numbers to get the right property for the right person, with the right configuration, with the right lease, with the right thing. So it's a quite average and it's
Yes,
strong research, you know.
if you're doing it properly, commercial property is a lot more maths heavy than residential. Residential, you know you're working with people's dreams, you're working with people's needs for their families,
Mm,
a lot more emotion in play.
mm,
With commercial, it does tend to be more of a mathematical equation. So I
mm,
suppose coming from the background you come from your mechanical engineering background, only makes sense that you're involved in commercial, investment type property transactions.
yeah.
Evgenio, what challenges do you find? Obviously, you know, you went through your studies, your real estate studies. Uh, it really, I'm assuming it's similar to mortgage broking. When people first become a mortgage broker, they seem to do a lot of residential stuff, and then over time, they might go into car financing. They'll go into commercial stuff, or they might even stay in the resi stuff. But typically, everyone sort of starts with the resi stuff. I'm guessing it's the same for real estate agents. What was the transition like to go from the residential properties towards investment properties? Was it something that happened quickly? Was it something that took a bit of time?
Was
What was
taken
that transition like?
it was a little bit. That's a good question because we take it a little bit. Obviously, you need to get that break thing. People need to trust in yourself. You got a small residence is a little bit more quick transition. Even
Yes.
still a lot longer because now the stock is very low here in WA, but it still has a lot more more quick and more transition thing. And definitely that transition was a little bit more a learning process too, because yeah, you are invested, but you don't get that service in place, and you want to work hard, get that price, get the client what they need, and all these things. So, and when I found out, just I had the opportunity to find out the market in commercial and just try to working with yourself and everyone just in this particular commercial view, I found it very attractive for myself, very best because it's a little bit more experienced investors. They know exactly
Yes.
because they pretty much they pass on that transition. They have 6 or 10 properties, and now but they do this space of consolidation. They want to move to
Yes.
income, and it's pretty much commercial is income phase. It's cash flow pretty much, and it's what you settle already, and then you don't worry, and then it's just maybe solid the investments that is really average and put in a good punch of capital, and then just go to commercial and sit down and relax. Not all the commercial like this, but just a specific ones can be for the long time lease, and don't worry about it. So I find them a lot of more, more interesting, and the people know exactly what they want. So it's quite also easy to work with them, and the way they know what you want. It's not easy to find them things because it's work hard thing, and you need to do a lot of stuff, but it's more nice communication. So it's like we are on the same page.
Yeah, I recall some of our conversations in the past, and where I've said to you, Eugenio, I'm looking for a property with this much yield, in this many k's away from the city, and it's got to be this property type, and I don't really care what it is as long as it fits that bill. So,
Yeah.
whereas I suppose if I was buying my dream home from you, I'd say, Eugenio, I want it to be this area, I want it to have this color, this color, I want it to be, have this pool, type of
Yeah,
pool. It's Yes, it's not just simply an investment with the resi stuff. See, I find a lot of people they get intimidated by the commercial stuff, but to me, I feel like it's a lot easier to deal with. If as long as you know what your clients are after and the due diligence that you need to do for every single type of property that you find, because as you know, I don't have to tell you, but mostly for our audience, benefit of our audience there. The most important thing with the commercial stuff is due diligence than the actual finding and sourcing the stuff. That's the challenge with the commercial stuff, I suppose.
yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, it is, and this is exactly right. You can maybe buy an industrial property and a big thing, and it's maybe before was an heavy oil system, and it's an environment issue. Thinking about it, it's an
Yes.
environment huge issue. They got concrete oil infiltrations in all the area. You find nothing, and quite expensive to break everything, clean it up, and it costs you a lot of money.
A lot of our audience wouldn't know this, but just on your point there, there's two types of petrol stations. Even the
Yeah,
newer petrol stations, they have an isolated fuel tank,
yeah,
a fuel holding tank. But the older ones, they weren't built to the same standard. So what
yeah,
happens is you have environmental, you have basically the fuel contaminants in soil. So
yeah.
when you go to redevelop, a lot of councils, a lot of state governments will actually not allow you to develop for X amount of years until a proper cleanup
Exactly.
and everything's been done on the site. So these are the sorts of things where a buyer's agent like yourself, in my opinion, comes very handy, because a lot of people might look at a petrol station that's got 7.5% yield, and another one that's selling for say 6% yield,
Yeah,
and they might think the 7.5% yield one's best, but there's all these hidden costs sometimes that unless you've been in the industry, you don't know.
exactly. It's just quite beneficial, and that's why many
Yes.
people on commercial use the buyer agents. It's because of that. It's because we do it a lot of more due diligence, and we give you a little bit more data and experience or more legislation. So local buyer agent is better because they know more the legislation, but also you can get nationals to the spot on good corporations around. But definitely something you need to look is spot on over there too. Yeah, I agree with you, and
Yeah.
that's what the different are. It's just a case of a petrol station can be an office space, can be multifamily thing, can be the government to change the legislation or change an area around. You don't know it, and then maybe later on in the path you get a little bit, but you don't know in the long run if you will increase or continue with this situation for longer.
I say to clients that are purchasing commercial, a lawyer will find, when you go through and do your due diligence with an accountant or a lawyer, I normally use a lawyer. Um, you know, when you go through and do your due diligence through them, they will find things that, if they claimed a certain amount of income, that's not there, they'll find those sorts of things. But unless you have experience in the industry, if unless you've sold 10 or 12 uh, petrol stations, you know, you're not to know these things.
Yeah.
And especially if you're new to commercial, there's a lot of things to watch out for, things like that, little traps. So definitely, guys, I can't stress enough, the importance of a buyer's agent. We think if you don't have the experience with these sorts of purchases. Eugenio, on that, a client comes to you, they say, Eugenio, I want you to find me such and such property. How do you deal with their expectations? When a client comes to you, how do you set realistic expectations with them? Because that would be tricky, wouldn't it?
It is. So pretty much I contact someone with yourself and make sure he can have a finals, and pretty much it's a buyer with a really buyer to get into that place. So finance is one of the key points, and how finance can move to, and how is the budget, and how is expectation, and how is the strategy. And based on the strategy, we need exactly what the investor needs. And then it's how the budgets work. So my side is just work what they need. So look at everything. So sometimes people like to go a little bit diversify, a little bit portfolio. Someone just stay in the same route, like childcare or something different. Or someone's like the multifamily thing, but I try to advise them because it's not your either I just found on the properties to give you advice. They'll say, okay, I think maybe if you go that path, you can get maybe a little bit less yield, but you can get in the long run, you get a more diversify your portfolio and then to help a little bit. We are not financial planners, but we found on the property, but we are people, we can see the long run, and pretty much my goal is needs exactly they need. That's the main goal as BA and work with them. So clear communication.
Yes.
With someone like you, we can give a good, nice finance. And they know from the beginning, especially in the start point, because people say, oh, I will do it 2 or 3 for myself, and then I jump in with a professional. Maybe that decision that stopped you up to move to next one. So, and especially in finance or yourself, you have a lot of experience in that. And you can give it them a quite strategy. And people like yourself or myself together help a little bit more on client perspective and reach the point quicker. That's the main thing.
How do the residential market in Perth, I think it's no secret. Most of the people that are viewing this are probably going to be property investors already. I don't imagine people that are property investors viewing this, but and they would know that the Perth market has been on an absolute belt up. There are residential sales. The only thing that's been in the housing market in Perth is the unit market in Perth. It's just phenomenal what's going on there. Seems like the demand's endless. You have a lot of interstate migration, and you have severe supply issues there. So your market's performing exceptionally. How are you finding the commercial market there at the moment?
Well, everything is conjunct together. It's a configuration together, meaning people, when there's a commercial and residential, they took it in a different way. It is different way, but tell you one thing, you grow in population. What you mean? You need hospitals, you need manufacturing, that's commercial. You need build houses or with the sun. That's the thing, the sun, the steel, the material is commercial. So meaning everything is commercial if you look at it that way. And commercial is the take a good part on it. So if you analyze that one in the long term, so meaning residential growth, but commercial, assume residential and commercial is still both growing. Obviously, when you buy a property, you're thinking you get more growth, but in the long run, I tell you, in the long time, we a good results. And Perth is crashing at the moment, and it's still going because it's all about demand and supply. And we have very low supply, and the demand is so huge that normally will still growing for a while. That's my expectation to happen based because the market and the trade say that. And it's quite long because if you look it up before, Perth was a little bit mind size, thinking, it's too much of minds, but they changed completely the perspective because the population is still grow. Yeah, the engine is still get the mines. We need to be realistic, but it's a quiet industry, huge industry now changes everything. You're building too many houses, you need a lot of industry. You have renovation things, you have factories, we have even, trades like the nuclear submarines. Yeah, we have that
Yeah.
ones coming. This is another 6,000, but it's not just 6,000 American and Canadians coming to Perth. It's 6,000 manufacturing thing. Create another 25,000 outside because it's the main thing. But they need contractors. They need they, some of them even know work. The contractors come in and do his work for them. So meaning it's a lot of
Yes.
use. Every single thing keep coming in place, they're affecting to a lot of more things. So that's what our job is, to make sure we can get the details and give our clients exactly what we need to give to them in the long term.
I think I totally agree. If you know, years ago, my family moved to the Gold Coast over 22 years ago. We moved to the Gold Coast, and the Gold Coast was a place that was for holiday back then and a place to retire. You made your money elsewhere. You came to the Gold Coast and you sort of lived it out. And I'll be honest with you, Eugenio, I never thought there was ever going to be any industry on the Gold Coast.
Mm,
But what's happening now is phenomenal. And, there's some of the biggest industrial parks I've seen anywhere, just outside the Gold Coast.
mm,
I think sometimes people, they get caught up. They believe, the Gold Coast is a retirement place. It's a holiday place. That's all it is. But sometimes the population brings industry. And I think that's what's going to happen in Perth now.
yeah.
I think that there's people from interstate that do move there, some of them for the mining industry, but I think they're going to bring a lot of other industries there as well with them. You
Yeah.
know, it's these places, they're diversifying. They're not just a holiday place. They're not just a mining place. They're not, you know, I think growth with population, growth in the industry comes as well. Sometimes it's not the population chasing the industry. It's, the industry chasing the population. So
Definitely. Yeah.
I
That's
totally agree.
exactly. Even now, I have a lot of. It's funny you say that because I have many of my clients. They go interstate. They work in a mine site, and people in Perth that have clients. They don't work in mine site. So sometimes it's amazing how the things work. But I mean, what I found on is the commercials is everything: policemen, hospitality, everything. So as soon you grow, everything grow together, and there's a lot of people coming here because schools, teachers, a lot of things, and a lot of childcare too, a lot of things. So we have big populations, meaning this is opportunity. That's opportunity. That's
Yeah,
what
well,
it is.
the childcare is probably the best example of it
Yeah,
because, you think about it, people don't even think about these things. Childcare, commercial type of property. It is. It's a commercial type of property, and
mm,
uh, with population growth, you need these places. These places are very important.
yeah,
They're important. They're very important for people. So yeah, it's not just the residential market that grows. As the
mm.
residential market grows, so does the commercial market, because you need things like childcare, you need things like storage places, that sort of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Just
That,
thinking.
it doesn't have to be just heavy industry.
Exactly. Just thinking about it. If you know commercial, it's not building. Simple. You need
Yeah,
commercial to build. So one thing is another one. There's no way. No one can have is still on home. You need to have a
that's right.
commercial workshop or a commercial thing. So it's everything together. So definitely.
Evgenio, what type of properties do you find yourself specializing in?
Now you're talking in this particular way, we're talking about childcare, right? So childcare is one of the normally I work in because I like the idea there's brand new, some of them, and they have a big list behind. So meaning it's a quite looking for a long term perspective. So and also have amazing depreciation thing. So quite intense. So if you look at
Yes.
everything, the good thing of the residential and commercial. So when you're talking about 6% or 7% yield, you're talking about net. When you're talking about the residential 5-6%, we're talking about gross. So quite different between
It's a
both
bit
sides.
different.
A big difference, and that's why it's made a huge impact and the investment in commercial. We understand commercial take a lot more longer on capital. You need a big capital to get it in, but it's in the long run. It's very. That's what I consider the amazing perspective on commercial. So back to the childcare So every single one has its own different configuration. Childcare have a long lease for maybe 20 years. We're talking about 15 years lease and plus renovation every 10. And we're talking about
Well,
three.
that makes sense if a builder is purpose building one, right?
Yeah,
If someone's purpose building one for a childcare company, they're gonna expect a big lease. So that's a big bonus.
it is. And we're talking about a good thing. It's a 6% yield, one of the deals I have. Plus, if you increase the depreciation, it's huge in commercial. It's you can thousands of things you can include in commercial. If you compare with
Massive.
residential, you cannot even look it up. If you even if you build on one, you still not compare. You can get a lot of, and we're talking about 6.8% yield after with all the depreciation and everything. So it's a quite nice investment if you want to diversify a little bit your portfolio. I found out people when they go childcare, they like to do too much and they buy all these investments in childcare. But the same
Yes.
thing is also things like this is completely different. So every building, everything have a grade thing. So it's a grade number A, grade B, grade C. So every building have its own code, its own expectation. So meaning you need to be very clear what you go into this particular investment, obviously. Yeah. Childcare,
Yes.
I like it for that reason, but also I like the aged care because we have all population. I like things that that really need and society will need it, and you need to look the perspectives for what we're going in the future. So I know a
Yes.
petrol station. We're talking about petrol station. You got a big deal. I have also deals with new ones here, pretty much. And if we look at
Yes.
that way, I have a big corporation, big one. So they got 10 years, and we're talking about 6%, 8% yield. Yeah, they give you a big yield thing, but you need to do it to do it diligent to make sure the future will change in the long run. So we know lithium coming back, and some of the big corporations can maybe change the way if the structure on the building can do. So mistake to be can be a
Yes.
charge station. Take care. The cars need to be cared. The things to be cared. It's not just so things like these you need to look at in the long run too. Yeah,
And childcares and aged cares, they've got one thing in common. The funds mostly, for the most part, come from the government.
exactly.
So this is something that will always be funded.
Mhm.
It's something that everybody needs. When you look at a petrol station, regardless of, you can get petrol stations, I don't have to tell you, Eugenio, with 30, 40-year leases on them, with
Mm,
BP.
mm,
They're very strong.
mm.
But there is still a stigma against it in the sense that, what's going to happen with petrol stations in the future. You have companies like Ford that come out and they say they're not producing another petrol. They're not developing a petrol engine after 2030.
Yeah,
These sorts of things, even if they don't impact a rental contract, they don't impact petrol stations. They still put a stigma on these transactions. So if you can get a similar yield, and sometimes even a better yield
yeah.
out of a nursing home, aged care, or childcare center, something that everybody needs, it doesn't make sense to go into something like a petrol station.
Definitely. And don't get me wrong. If people like to be in petrol stations, just go ahead and
Yeah,
but we need to be careful. We need to be in deep. What we're talking about before, the oil, the spread, the government, especially the long run. So, but yeah, I agree
yeah.
with you. I like the idea to community things. Community things is what we need, and especially when they grow a population. That you need to do that straight.
So, Eugenia, where do you do your research normally about the market trends that are happening in the commercial real estate sector, for example, in Perth? Where do you normally get your data from? How do you normally find out what's going on?
Well, really, I go to industrial events. This is one, the good ones. So I also look at the government policies, how they change and how indicators or on new projects, huge projects. So I try looking more a lot on the government page. I don't watch in the news. Sorry. I think the news is something they tell you on the
You're not
TV.
the only
So
one.
uh, so I really don't do that. But I really look into more in deep and well, just look at economy indicators. So I mean, so thinking indicator, simple and pair, a good one, very
Yeah.
simple. So we're talking about we need 25,000 houses every year. Yeah. over here in Perth for
Yep.
the last 4 years, only building 14,000, meaning 10,000 we are short every year for the last 4 years. So meaning 40,000 lower. So what indicators say is there's quite a long way to get the supply they need. So meaning industry in that areas, the big developing places, they give you a lot of industry areas, like a buildings perspective, or some there like industries you can store it like a little bit concrete places, things like this is why you need to look it up, when someone come, I look at something in construction perspective from commercial. So that's what I need to work it up. Mm.
Eugenio, people that invest in commercial properties, they, and I'm guilty of this, they tend to specialize in one particular thing.
Yeah.
And people tend to, specialize in shop fronts, or they tend to specialize in aged care facilities or childcare facilities. When you're talking to clients, and we're not financial advisors, we're not financial planners, but our clients do lean on us for some level of knowledge, general knowledge, right? When you're speaking to clients, how important? I'll ask it a different way. How much importance do you put on diversification?
It's quite important based to, from my perspective, if you look at that way, where the governments, if you, because it's, for example, childcare, we go to buy childcare, it's kind of simple again thing. So the government, they supply 50% of supply and help to the people today, so many childcares get the government helping. But if you look at that way, if the government changes for any reason and it start to don't support this particular thing for any reason, and you put all your eggs in one basket, yeah. So what you think will happen? So we try to explain that thing. I know because it's working, meaning it's okay to continue. I will change this completely for another way. I will say, okay, it's good thing, but maybe you have childcare and aged care. So maybe go to the industry, big industry thing. You have the equity, you have the capital to move in, just move in another place. You can really see the loan because it's a big monster sometimes. Some of them, they're quite large, but they have an amazing list behind, and the potential is quite longer. So pretty much as everyone else, don't put your eggs in the same basket. Try to diversify, and you will be a good view in the long term. And it's a good learning too. So many people, when you invest in something, you need to niche it. And then some of the investors that coming in, they're coming with a big background and very healthy people. Yeah. And you have his lawyers, they have everything, but they love it to look more in deep. Yeah.
In your job, you deal with people like myself.
Mm.
You deal with uh, real estate agents, which can be challenging at times, I'm sure. You deal with conveyancers.
Mm.
What do you think makes a successful collaboration between these types?
Why
How
it's
do
a
you
three?
find?
It's a 3 points, very important. First, clear communication. If you know clear communication and trust communication, meaning a quite clear communication. Don't lie, don't say something that's not real there. Be clear. Don't, if you can afford it, don't waste time someone else. Just make sure you're a straightforward person and tell the truth. And working together as professionals, how you can. That's the first one, first key. Second is you need to work as a team, commitment to make sure your client need have what they need. Sometimes they are represent different clients and everyone to, but in the end, it's a quite same page. So the vendor has what they need or what they want. The buyer have exactly the investor. And the person like yourself, we create that thing. It's a good feeling when you get something to the client, and it's a good satisfaction for you. You feel like a spot on. You feel, wow, you get what I think. But I think it's hard sometimes with the communication if it's not clear. So meaning everyone needs to be on the same page. And it's very, very important. So in the first, obviously, is to make sure we get a completely understanding how the market works. Because I found on the professional in place, they're not really keen or move or learning perspectives to different areas. And it's a little bit more hardworking, and it's a quite,
Yes.
well, everyone is in the same page. It's simple, straightforward. Yeah.
It is easy when we have a shared client, because basically working with the same strategy for the same client.
Yeah.
You have a mortgage broker that tells a buyer's agent, this client has a capacity for X amount. Try to find him or her something that fits this sort of bill, makes things a lot easier. And I think where a lot of even mortgage brokers get caught out is there's no pre-approvals for the commercial stuff.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's very important that everything is working synchronized. Between the person looking for the property and the person financing the property. It's
It
very
is.
important.
And everyone needs to
And
be needs or exactly what the client needs without
yes,
interest. So, meaning that's the good thing about it. By to my license as a buyer agent, always I need to look it
yes,
up the needs of my client. Pretty much is by law. Yeah. And also we need to look it up that way. And that's the way it should be because that's your service. Just your service is still there to give it the premium thing they need. It's not just this isn't a relationship. And that relationship, they can flow well and different things. I still have clients that call me back for advice without no charging because I think that's the way to go. It's just the
yes.
relationship helping out. And our professional perspective is a good relationship to have all, definitely.
What challenges do you normally face with people that are trying to get into commercial real estate? Say you've got a client that's bought, because obviously for the guys out there, Eugenio doesn't just do. Spoken a lot about commercial property today, but he doesn't just do commercial property. He's an investor, right? So
Mm.
he does a lot of investment properties, that sort of thing. So Eugenio, you'd have clients that bought 3 or 4 investment properties for you, and now they're looking for something a little bit bigger. They're looking to buy a warehouse. They're looking to buy a shop front.
Mm.
Eugenia, what challenges do you find you have with when buyers in particular, are making the transition from residential to the commercial space? What challenges do you normally run into?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is mindset change. The mindset completely because they're coming from normally the people who have 6 or 7 or 10 properties and they want to move in. But I find the challenges that people are in the early stage, they have 1 and 2, and then don't have a capital
Yes,
to move to. So it's a very hard to need to tell them, oh, you need some capital to move in. Capital minimum the 20 or 30%. So some of them usually the lease is lower. So something like this is just educate them is quite sometimes challenging because they come with a mindset of real estate on residential and it's completely different.
yes,
So it's a quite more perspective. Sometimes they need to sell it some to get something capital to move in or need to get a different perspective or use the required equity and a capital to move in. That's what the
yeah,
challenges I found out. Some of them, they're not with the mindset ready and they need to move around with them. That's one of the big ones. Um, Second one, it's not just go there and buy, I don't know, a local bar and check it out and just move in. It's ongoing things. And because some of them you need to explain there, because some people say commercial can be without no lease for a long time, right? They say, oh, wow, it
yeah,
can happen. And then you need to have this capital
can,
in the back. Yeah. So what happened? We need to look at the risky thing. So, but if you look at the residential, it's a short lease. Normally, when you do a commercial, it's a long lease between 5 years minimum or something like this. And then if you look at it that way, if you have one now, this vacancy rate is very low. It's very difficult. It's happened, but maybe in 2018 and 14 here in Australia and WA it happened. So you can have 3 months in 1 year,
yep,
another 2 months in another year, and another 3 months. So if you do the average of this property
yes,
for 5 years time, you have 1 year without not get nothing, right? So commercial is
yep,
completely different. Maybe you have 6 months without nothing. The cost is quite more intensive. So you need to get this capital in the back. So that things is why you need to explain to your clients to say, okay, we need to value the risk. How is your financial situation? A person like yourself is how you can help it to get exactly. And myself is just need exactly what they need to have. So normally I put my clients and just as I do this to try to to say, okay, let's chat with Lee and see what he can do for you and review it and get the best finance possible and explain the risk. That's the main thing, you know.
Very important. Very important. The risk with commercial stuff, because sometimes people need to have the liquidity to go, like you said,
Mm.
9 months without rent.
Mm.
It can happen. It does happen, and, if you factor it all into your costs, and when you do, your calculations on the yield of the property, if you factor all this in, knowing that you might have to give adjustments to the next tenant and that sort of thing, you're okay. But the people that take the risks, they take the risky finance thinking it's all going to be good, they can get stuck.
Yeah, they
For
need
sure.
to.
So
Definitely, sorry, definitely need to be a
yeah,
strong, clear point. So they need to know when they move on this one. It's not like a scare because people they think it's very unaffordable. So many people thinking it's too hard to jump in it. But if
yes,
you already have a solid background on investment, like a solid frame, you have 6 properties or something like this, and want to move. You are my age, so 40, 45, 47, and you're doing very well. Some people at my age already
yep,
retired, so they're doing awesome. Yeah. But I mean, some people just get there and do, I don't know, just have 6 properties and looking, I don't know, these 3 properties is too headed,
yeah,
have these things. So maybe it's a good time. The market give you a good time to sell free and start away invest in this particular new investment with a lot of depreciation and a lot of lease that you have in there. So you guarantee for 20 years, plus, there will be 10 and 10. So that's the challenges you need to find out with the clients and put it in perspective on the long run. The problem I find out with people, it's not a problem, but we are humans and we overvalue what we can do in 1 year and undervalue
yes,
whatever we can do in 10 or in 50 because we don't have that vision. And that's the key as investor. So look it up on the
yes.
long view.
I'd say that's the biggest difference between a residential investor and a commercial investor. A
Mm,
commercial investor is thinking about the next 20, 30 years. A
mm,
resi investor is generally thinking about the next 5 to 10. I
yeah.
find even when getting them financed, it's very two sort of different ways of thinking about it. Um,
And also
but yeah,
cash flow. If you look at lead, cash flow is one of the big ones. So people just something
yeah,
grow. Residential grow more than commercial. But mate, one thing is accessibility is important. You need to have a
yes.
lot of cash flow, and cash flow is the way you can move on and move quicker. So meaning more cash flow, and that's what commercial coming. Commercial is very
Do you,
cash flow perspective.
do you find people that are making the move from residential to commercial, they think that the commercial is more difficult, but then they're surprised when they're not getting calls at 5, 6 o'clock on a Friday saying, you've got a leak at such and such property. Can we send a plumber down? Or we've got an electrical fault.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that must surprise people, that the fact that generally commercial tenants tend to be less work.
It is. And also they will take it ongoings for you. They will do things and it's a review. And if you got the right structure, because no, it's just everyone else. So you have a good
Yeah.
property, a good residential, it's good. You can buy a bad residential and you got a problem. So commercial is a similar thing. So you need to have the right commercial property with the right tenant, with the right lease, with the right property and the right area and the right place and the growth. So everything is important, but it's a quite different. I can see most of the commercial people that are in that they're more looking for long run, and that's why people
Yes.
they compare too much with both sides. And yeah, I like it. I like it. That's what I love with the commercial thing.
You found a property for your client. You've approached the real estate agent that's got it for sale. You start negotiations. What happens if when you're negotiating with that real estate agent? How do they generally go, those negotiations?
Well, sometimes it's good to that. What I found, and sometimes I like to a different real estate agent on similar perspective. They will sell normally. Well, what has happened? You contact them to get the information that you get. They send your AM. They just start to get back and forward communication. But obviously, this is crucial communication because the first thing is how your budget, how the client, what's your budget for your client. Normally, I try to keep away less detailed until I can show the potential to my client and then work it out because it's depends on the configuration. If we go about the childcare, we have a negotiation and it's quite intense because you have to work with big corporations sometimes and they have resource assessors and they have its own layers and they have its own things. So really you give the IAM and then they work it up if you like it, and then just coming up out a negotiation at your side. So they give you the level of number they want. So they want cap rate of this number, and then we work from there. So it's quite more in numbers. Yeah, we work a lot in numbers,
Yes.
and it's crucial. So the information need to be very clear because it's complex, backwards and forward. So sometimes it takes a month maybe to get that negotiation move forward, and even more. And it's not as quick as the negotiation you sign a contract and residential and the approval and that's it. It's just it's not happening. Definitely will be a little bit more long due diligence. Normally we have a month due diligence. There will be even more. Just maybe it's in another state, overseas, coming from overseas, traveling with successors, largest, and all this thing. We're talking about big thing. We'll obviously we're talking about a lot of professionals involved, not just myself. So it's a quite crucial. Negotiations is one of the big ones.
Do you get many deadlocks when you're negotiating a price? Like, do you get to a point where, the buyer is offering something reasonable and the vendor is at a stalemate? They're not willing to
Yeah,
continue. Do you get this often?
you need to be very proactive and you move around, explain the difference, talk with the vendors, see with the vendors because sometimes they have 3 or 4 offers and then you need to mix that level to get information. That's what the clear point of communication. An approach, obviously, how you approach. If you approach too aggressive and too, maybe you're not dealing more. So the thing is, you just need to be dealing with. Normally, sometimes you're dealing with the similar. Everyone knows everyone sometimes, and they know everyone how it works sometimes.
Do you ever run prices aside, Eugenio? Do you ever run into issues with properties outside of the price? So things like due diligence, issues
Yeah,
within due diligence, or
yeah, we have work.
what normally happens there?
Well, there's maybe this last one we don't have the time to do the diligence because the break of the holidays from Christmas.
Okay. Yeah.
And they need to get someone fly from interstates to WA to do due diligence. And
Wow.
because we get a month and a half to do diligence, so what happened? They don't want to waiting a month and a half to do diligence, plus having all the holidays time. So we're talking about 2 months and a half. The property was in a spot on location. It wasn't close to the CBD, spot on, but
It was a phenomenal location.
the phenomenal location, brand new depreciation, contract 15 years lease. But
Yes.
coming from the big corporation, I cannot say the name, but the privacy, but it's a big corporation, and they have his assessors and also the Georgia employee fly over and do all the things. So, but the vendors don't agree with this situation. Something outside of the price, obviously. It was a little bit more on time frame, and it seems like this is something you need to move forward and quicker and see if we can reach a better for both parties. And because it's 3 parties together, right? And sometimes can be 4 parties, 5 parties, because you got assessors. It's all in the same.
So, Eugenio, we know that and I'm sure our audience knows now that you love facilities, and for the reasons we talked about, they're always needed, government funded, all these sorts of things. They're a great investment. What emerging types of properties do you see in Perth at the moment, aside from the care facilities and childcares and that sort of thing? Do you see any other sectors of the commercial market that are absolutely booming at the moment?
Yeah, industrial is quite large, I think, and uh, the government pretty much they get I don't know how many billions, like a 4 or 5 billion just in wind farms and solar panels and things like this, and that's is a lot of industrial below, yeah. So all
Yes.
also lithium. We have a big lithium companies in Guinana. We have Guinana, big huge amount of industry over there. and also the submarines and all. So it's like why industrial very high demand.
In terms of technology, I've noticed, on the Gold Coast, uh, is building upwards.
Mm.
It's sort of sprawled out as much as it will be for the minute, but it seems like there's a lot of density. So a lot. What's happening here on the Gold Coast? The trend that's happening is storage facilities. Personal
Mm.
storage facilities. They're going through the roof. I remember after the GFC, you could buy them with a 10-12% yield. Now you're lucky to get a yield above 5% on these storage containers, storage shed type
Mm.
facilities. Uh, in terms of technology, Eugenio, have you found that it's impacted office spaces in Perth? Have you noticed prices dropping with offices? Have they been increasing? How has technology affected Perth, do you
Well,
think?
really, a lot because based after COVID-19 was happening, all these things, offices they
Yeah.
gone very low, and you have a lot of vacancy and CBD. So quite you can find. I remember before COVID, it was very hard to find out any office, and a good price was very hard. And now you can find them very nicely and a good really price, and also have too much lease on it, or you need to be very specific, very specific, or at least, and part of that. But technology is something you look it up, uh, innovations and all things are quite interesting, basically because it's a long-term view. And if you look at it in a long-term view, for example, like they go back to the solar panels and wind farms and lithium and all these things, graphite and all these things, and a lot of new vertical farming too. Simple things like this. Farming can be also part of the commercial thing. And if you look at
Yeah.
vertical farming, someone and I like to look at these things as a long-term view. And we have a lot of land, a lot of things, but water is one of the big issues we have in Australia. It's not water everywhere. And the smart way somebody they do now is a vertical farming, and they do big warehouse with the solar panels, aquaportings, they calling like this, maybe 25 or no, 95% less water. It's only used at 5%. And
Wow.
they use this on like a little bit better. So obviously you don't do it a lot of stuff, but yeah, something like this is also things can affect it. And obviously after the economy happened with this COVID, it was a lot of more things will happen in the future. If you look it up, the new vehicles, new transport can be, they will change completely. Trains and everything. Now we do a lot of things around. Perth is quite intense in transport now at the moment. So things like these, big companies that come and start to settle in Perth for maintaining the trains, roads, everything's around. All a lot of affecting to the new way the Perth is working. It's not looking just on mines.
I've seen the impact of this on a couple of different types of commercial properties, just on the Gold Coast. With the industrial properties, solar panels on the roof,
Mm.
very, very important. Obviously,
So,
with the high cost of power, these things, types of properties definitely get a huge look in.
yeah.
The other place where I've noticed, especially solar, that's very important is in care facilities.
Yeah.
Because in care facilities, when people buy their own units within the care facilities and they have to pay their own power, there's a facility now. I think the developer was Gem Life, if I'm not mistaken. But essentially, Gem Life created this facility where their residents pay a very minimal amount of power because of the type of solar system they have in the facility. Phenomenal. So these sorts of things, definitely things to look at with the technology. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. What was your most memorable moment as a buyer's agent?
My first client, this. My first client is the best. It's amazing when the first time, the first feeling. I was work hard to get my first client. And everyone would say that thing. And it's a buyer agent. The first client is unbelievable. It's so you go so much. So sometimes it's scary. Sometimes I can't say, okay, yeah, don't worry about it. I know you're good, but don't be so, because I am very focus oriented. I'm very passionate. I like to boom, boom, just get everything, get that information, a lot of emails. So it was a little bit scary for her in the beginning. I was like, hey, Eugenia, calm down, I'm happy, but it was a good feeling. It was an amazing feeling. The first,
What kind of what
yeah.
kind of a property was it?
Well, Western investment property, yeah, but a few years ago, 3 years ago, was a nice thing, because was they're growing very well, more than 25%, and it's amazing. And this bad thing
Awesome.
is coming back to me after, because the good thing is with is relations,
That's when you know you've done a good job, when
yeah,
they come back to you.
yeah, and they come in, and there's a second property. Well, there was a young investor, pretty much. It was the second investor, I remember, and it was good feeling because as soon he jumping in, it was first time in WA. So, and yeah, he was thinking, oh, it's a good time. I say, it's the best time. Trust me, I just buy 1% of my portfolio. I just be true with them. I said, just you will be my first client. I will work for you very strong. Well, and we found on a good frequency, and get the good
Yes.
frequency with your first client. It's a good feeling, man. It's amazing feeling. And that's what we work it up. So I remember to get like what's a 4x2, 800 square meters. We rent out, we get 6% yield. And now I think it's just right between 25% growth, a couple of years or something like this. And
Wow.
he can move to the next one because he was very clear in his strategy. He was young, but clever. So he want, okay,
Yes.
every year I want to buy one. This is my strategy. And so it was simple in the same way. So it was nice.
So for someone that's wanting to get into being a buyer's agent, Eugenio, what advice would you give them?
Well, it's not flowers going there and everyone will come in and tell you, oh, we want your service. So the advice is it's a hard working. It's very hard work. You need to work very, very hard and you need to acknowledge the market and you need to work for someone feeling that you do a service for someone else. Very important.
Yeah.
Ethic. Be thinking if you're not an ethic person, I just come here for making money. So don't do it because that's not the way. That's not you will
Don't
not
do
do.
anything. If it's just about the money, you shouldn't do anything.
No, it's not, but this is the main thing. You work for
Yeah.
people's futures. Quite
Yes.
important, man. It's so important. You work for the future of someone else, and if you don't do it, that's what should we do it. Future can be affecting families behind, even the legacy for is you mark a legacy. If you look at that way, simply the legacy will change. If you do a
Yeah.
good thing for them, your the grandkids, if they're doing the right thing, they will be beneficial. It's so amazing, It's so nice. So that's why I would tell him to the new people to want to champion. And please make sure you use your ethic, hard thinking, good. You need to be very smart, but hard thinking, be human, and try to understand your clients more than ever. I think.
It's very important. I mean, if you, it doesn't matter what someone's purchasing or financing, even
Mm.
it is normally the probably for most people the most important financial decision they'll make in life.
Yeah.
Taking a loan from, getting a loan for someone like me
Mm.
and then purchasing a property for someone like yourself.
Yeah.
It's sometimes the most important decision financially, at least, most people will make. So your heart's definitely got to be in the right place when you're doing this, especially when you're a buyer's agent, you're working on behalf of a buyer.
Yeah, definitely. It's not just the service, it's just more than that. That's what I feel it. And I feel it every single day.
Yes.
It's a hard working that it is because I will take it this for granted. I will, I'm learning from many years. If you do something, you do it 100%, you need to do 100%, go like, I give you 60%, you want to give 100% and 100% for myself is important. So it's everything. So he called me in, I don't know, 2 o'clock, something, I will answer the phone. That's what I am, I am very straightforward person. So when sometimes, the funny thing I find on is, well, if something's call me and say, oh, Eugenia, sorry for calling you. I say, what are you sorry for? I say, oh man, it's just, I say, what are you for? I work for you, man. I am here for you,
Yes.
man. I do, that's the good feeling, and they say many people that they're very nice, they're a little bit worried. I said, don't worry about it, man. I'm here. I'm here for you. Just the soldier. That's you get it in, and that's the main thing, and that's the experience. I wish to have someone like this when I started investing. I will do it 3 times better than now. But I
Yes.
would not have that time, and I don't have that knowledge. I don't have this support, the no BAs around, nothing. So you try shift doors the best you can and read books and knowledge as everyone else,
So, Eugenio, we've just had a new year. What are you looking forward to this year?
Well, I'm looking for to help a lot more people and work with people like yourself and get the same relationship. I love it work for you. And I look to do some partnerships too with another places too. So one just a very interesting situation now. So people was like big gurus and this the commercial thing and learning from them too, and just try to get the service to someone else and increase my clients and help. That's the main thing, man. I really it's a nice 2024 coming in place. It's a beautiful looking country, man. We are in the best place we can do. So how much we can say, it's nothing else really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Eugenia, buyer's agents, they typically have access to a lot of off-market properties,
Yes.
properties that they know are coming onto the market, secrets squirreled away. Okay. So I want you to tease our audience.
Yeah.
Eugenia, what have you got access to today that our audience might be interested in? Something good though. We want good stuff here.
Good
Don't give
stuff.
us specifics, obviously. They have to use your service, but give us ballpark figures and property types, that sort of thing.
All right. I like the service community thing. So I have two tokens, brand new, brand new,
Okay.
off the market. They're asking a price, between 4 million. Some they got a little bit better price. They got a 15-year contract behind and plus depreciation.
Wow.
So they have depreciation for, it's a brand new lease to December 2023. This is in construction. It's already got the deal and a big corporation of Childcare. And this is in 2 locations and brand new, simple, straightforward, easy on yourself, as you know, easy to get your loan if you're looking into together.
Yeah, for our audience out there, when you have a commercial property with a long-term lease on it, like this particular property that has a 15-year lease, what you can do is you can get the financing through what's called a lease stock loan. And with a lease stock loan, essentially, we can get your financing based solely on the lease of the property. They don't look at your personal financials. They don't look at business financials. They don't care how much you contribute to super. They simply look at how much the property is earning. So it's these properties with these 15-year leases in play are very easy to finance, extremely easy. You could be completely maxed out with your borrowing capacity personally, but you can get financing for these. So phenomenal opportunity. So they're brand new, Eugenio, we said. So there's a full depreciation schedule as well.
So we're talking about is the deal will be in 6.1. We're talking about yield, but what depreciation can reach is 7.8 or something like this after depreciation. So simple. It's a quite big number and it's all ongoing. And we're talking about 3% growth every year with extension 10 years and 10 years plus the 15.
Wow.
So it's a quite long.
Wow.
It's in a good new area. So meaning a lot of construction coming in. So it's a long view. Yeah.
So Eugenio, this particular lease or these leases, they're leased to a national childcare company. Is that right?
Is right. Yeah, exactly. So it's
a strong tenant.
A strong tenant. And then if you look it up, I have a few more also on the market and off the market and even in another states, but I like to be more on the local perspective. And because I can see the server they can grow. So some of them, I'll tell you what is impressed because it's 10 kilometers from the CBD. So
really?
Yeah. So it's a spot on, not just that you get your lease, it's your growth is there. It's a quite growth because if you still grow how we going, you will get a quite big growth too. So it's not just get cash flow, it's also good because also it's new. So,
and we're talking a yield around 6%. I think it's 6.1%.
6.1%, yeah. So we're talking cap rate.
You've got a 6.1% yield, 6% yield, let's say. you've got inner city property, you've got a 15-year lease term with 2 10-year options. Was that correct?
Yeah.
So for our audience, when you build a new place, normally there's depreciating assets, So with those depreciating assets, you can actually claim them as an expense against any income from the property. So obviously something to talk to your accountants. Me and EUGENIO are not accountants, but it's very beneficial. With the residential stuff, everyone starts off in the resi space. I started off in the resi space, but what happens is over time, once you have a lot of residential dwellings, rentals coming in, you also have the issues that come in, and sometimes it's easier to sell 10 properties and go and purchase a large warehouse or a large childcare center or whatever, and only have one ongoing concern, one set of problems, but the same income coming in, or more, generally more, with the commercial stuff. EUGENIO, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Being our first guest, I know we had a few teething problems, but I really appreciate you coming in and educating our audience about your service and also about what's happening in the Perth market. EUGENIO, how can our audience reach you if they want to engage your service?
Well, very simple. Email eugenio@budgetsbacklab.com.au. I have Facebook, Instagram, it's all the media. You can go and pop it up if you want, and LinkedIn. So straightforward communication. So and I am very, very approachable. So if you send me a text, I will back to you, definitely.
We'll chuck your details down the bottom. I'm sure some of our audience will definitely contact you, and I can vouch for that. You can call EUGENIO at 10 o'clock at night and he'll pick up the phone. He's amazing like that. He's definitely takes a lot of pride in what he does, and I'm sure if you guys engage these services, you wouldn't be disappointed. Guys, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions about EUGENIO's service or myself, please contact us from the details below, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you.